Darius Davis.
I mean, he's so fast. He makes fast people look not fast.
Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yoda Bowl fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, welcome to the first of many Victory Monday episodes of our post-game report. I know there's going to be some people saying, director, calm down. It's just the preseason. I don't care, man. Chargers just walked off the field victors versus the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, there's some significance there, and it was a hype game, man. As far as preseason games go, I don't think I've ever been as hyped as I have been during that game. I think this picture perfectly captures all of that, right? The CJ Okoye sack, his first maybe play ever in a live football game. He gets in there for a big play. Chargers fans, Chargers players, everybody going absolutely nuts. Absolutely great environment for the first preseason game of the year. So much fun to watch and gives us so much hope, and I should say even a preview of what we can expect to see in the regular season as well, because yes, I do think that this holds significance in terms of what the Chargers are creating for the actual starters going into September in the regular season. I think we have signs of a very healthy offense in terms of what the new system and scheme looks like. Great depth and a lot more along the way too. So we're going to start kind of dissecting what we saw in this game, go over some of the good, maybe some of the bad that the Chargers do have to fix still, but so far so good, man. A great effort and a great start for the Chargers in their 2023 campaign. So before we do get started, guys, shout out to the sponsor. It's finally time, man. I love this so much. Welcome back, football. Underdog Fantasy. And I'm going to show you guys, yes, we'll show our L's every once in a while. I did throw down a $5. Okay, I threw down a $5 for this game. It's the preseason. It's whatever. We had a lot of fun there. And I think we got close, okay? This one was in short, so we're pretty dang close to at least walking away victors. But if you guys want to join in on the fun, I think that preseason's a great opportunity to get your feet wet, understand the platform, get ready for the regular season when things really do count. If you guys want to jump in on the action, use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100. A great way to support the channel. Also, quick update. If you guys want an update on the ExpressVPN method in order to watch live football, definitely check out the link in the description for that tutorial video. The instructions have been updated there. Now, before we get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, action. Your Chargers at Rams preseason week 1 post-game report. Very exciting, man. What a fun day it was. And I want to jump into this. We usually do the stat check first, but I want to jump into this video first with the first topic saying, welcome to the Chargers, Kellen Moore. I feel like one of the biggest things that I've noticed this offseason that Chargers fans have noticed, the players have noticed, Kellen Moore has completely changed what this offense looks like for the better for Chargers fans, its players, and the team. Absolutely fantastic outing for him. And again, this is more of a vanilla defense, or I should say a vanilla offense that we're seeing with Kellen Moore. He's not going to, give away company secrets, trade secrets in his very first game. He's going to want to protect those. So his vanilla offense looked absolutely spectacular. Even in, comparison to a Lombardi offense that we saw last season, the best Lombardi offense didn't look as good as the vanilla offense for Kellen Moore, which is absolutely fantastic, man. I am so excited to see what this man has in store for the regular season. But to me, it just looks like a premium understanding of the skill set of his players. Very intelligent and wise decision in terms of personnel, even in a preseason game. And it does feel like he's getting the best out of his players in there too. So very much so excited to see Kellen Moore. Bravo. You put on a great show there, Kellen. Cannot wait to see more. Welcome to the team. So with that being said, let's see what Kellen Moore and this team produced on Saturday with that first preseason game. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the stats here to kind of give an overview of what the Chargers offense and defense looked like. Now, first off, I think passing-wise, we're going to go over a lot of these players individually. So we're just going to kind of read off some stats and then kind of start nitpicking into some of the individual players as well, okay? So Easton Stick for 109 looked great. Max Duggan got his feet wet with 19 yards. On the opposite side, you guys can take a look at that as well as we scroll through. 191 to Stetson Bennett and 11 to Rippon. Then taking a look at the running offense, dude. Look at this, man. This is definitely a breath of fresh air. 200 yards on the ground for the Chargers. Absolutely ridiculous. Led by this man, Elijah Dodson, with 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, we're going to be talking about him. On the opposite side, the Rams just under 100 yards on the ground. Here's your receiving on the Kellen Moore offense. Definitely not bad with 128 yards behind an Easton Stick and a Max Duggan. You got Keelan Doss leading the way with 39 yards. Couple of notable plays here by Darius Davis, which we will definitely talk about. Donald Parham getting involved there. Isaiah Spiller in the pass. Quentin Johnson, which we will talk about as well, with a couple other guys along the way there too. 200 yards through the air for the Rams. And then finally, in terms of the defense, some of the notable names here. Uzadama did get those tackles, but he had a bit of a sketchy game there. Same thing with Tywin Mullen. They were kind of picking on those two guys. Ogbong Bamiga certainly had a pretty good day. Dan Henley had a couple of good plays there, but its defensive line looked fantastic. And then a couple of DBs to note. JT Woods, Raheem Lane, Jasir Taylor. We'll be talking about those guys as well. Tuli Tuipulotu. I know he got a couple of pressures in there. Scott Matlock looked pretty good. We're going to get into some of these individual players. So to jump in on some of the individual Chargers, the first segment I want to talk about does revolve around a subject that's been a little bit sketchy for the Chargers the past couple of seasons. It's going to be that run game, man. This first segment is called JK and Spiller, okay? Joshua Kelly and Isaiah Spiller looked absolutely fantastic on Saturday. And this, again, is a testament to what we're seeing in the brand new Kellen Moore offense. That's something that you noticed even back in his days with the Dallas Cowboys. You look at the Dallas Cowboys and you think to yourself, wow, they've got a very healthy passing attack, right? CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Gallup, their tight end that just moved to the Texans. Like, there's a lot going on for the passing game. But I think you have to credit a lot of that success to their ground game as well. Their ground game, sneakily, one of the better that you'll find in the NFL. I would find this defense to be a very balanced offense. I'm sorry, I keep saying this balanced offense of Kellen Moore. That run game was absolutely spectacular, whether it was Pollard, whether it was, Zeke at times. That's really what helped propel their passing attack. And I think we saw shades of that even in the preseason in their week 1 matchup versus the Rams. Now, obviously, the Chargers had success on the ground. First couple of guys you're going to see rolling out there, the backups behind Austin Eckler, who, guys, let me remind you, Austin Eckler hasn't taken the field yet. Imagine Eckler's results behind what we're seeing with the Kellen Moore offense. But behind him, you got Joshua Kelly, who put up, 50-something yards. Absolutely fantastic. Joshua Kelly looks like, to me, a solidified RB2, but I think there's still going to be a bit of a competition to see who's going to be taking snaps behind Eckler directly. Either way, Joshua Kelly, to me, looks very good. Almost your kind of, budget version of a power back. He does have some oomph behind him. I think the Chargers have plans to use him in a similar way. Then next to him is Isaiah Spiller, who definitely had a pretty good day. Unfortunately, a 71-yard touchdown was ripped off the board from him, but given that play anyway, because it's the preseason, right? You have to kind of look at everything and see value in everything. That play was fantastic. And it showed me that Isaiah Spiller does have speed behind him. Maybe not elite speed, but certainly kind of in the realm of like an Austin Eckler, right? As soon as he gets out in open space, he is gone. And that's exactly what we saw in that play that unfortunately was called back, but Isaiah Spiller looked very, very good. A couple of plays by him as well that made me feel very good were his receiving plays, right? His involvement in the passing game. And that's kind of where I see his role in the future. He only had a couple of receptions, I think, but they looked very, very good. He looked very comfortable in that role. Did not quite pay him enough attention to see what he looks like in pass blocking, but still, that's certainly a very good thing to look at in terms of his involvement in the future. I think Joshua Kelly, Spiller, those are two very, very good options for the Chargers, maybe even post Austin Eckler. But again, I don't want to look past Austin Eckler right now, guys, because if we saw this much success with Spiller and Kelly, and then, of course, the next guy we're going to talk about in just a second, we have to imagine what our stud, fantasy king running back in Austin Eckler is going to look like in this offense as well, who does offer way more in terms as a receiver as well. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Well, hello there, Dodson. Wow, dudes. Now, okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, all right, there is a situation in terms of, is there room for Dodson, for Elijah Dodson, who had a fantastic debut in his first preseason game. The Chargers, of course, can have Austin Eckler, Josh Kelly, Spiller as their three top running backs, okay? I don't know if we're going to have room. Maybe the Chargers do make room with an RB4 for the first time in a while, right? Maybe Elijah Dodson is that special, but we have to sit back and wait and see what the Chargers want to do with that spot. I think Dodson, if he continues on this path, I think there's definitely going to be a spot for him on the roster, but there is a complication there, okay? That being said, from what we saw on Saturday, I'm extremely impressed, okay? There's a couple of different things that I think Dodson does very well, but I think the main focus is definitely trying to kick out to the outside and buy space for himself. I know there was a couple of Chargers fans in my chat, and I've seen people talking about it on Bleacher Report, which we were on. If you guys want to check us out there after the game, we'll be there again after the next preseason game. There's people talking about it there, people talking about it on Facebook, people talking about it in my chat. Some people saw shades in terms of the movement. Again, nobody's trying to disrespect the legacy players here. They saw shades of LaDainian Tomlinson in that movement, especially in that cut, and the speed a little bit of a Darren Sproles. And again, we're not trying to say he's anywhere close to those players, but we saw things that reminded us of him. And I would be remiss to say I didn't agree with those people. That cut to the outside, finding space, and then just the burners turned on to 11, right? That guy shot out of a cannon and rode the sideline all the way to a touchdown twice in that game. Did look pretty familiar. That's all I'm going to say. All right, that's all I'm going to say. And that was extremely refreshing for Chargers fans because, yes, Austin Eckler, I'm very excited to see what he can do in this offense. I think we're going to see a lot more creativity and success for him on the ground than we've previously seen in the past couple of years in the Lombardi offense. But this is different, right? He runs different. He strides different. I feel like Dodson offers something new to this team in terms of what he is as a running back. Because Isaiah Spiller and Joshua Kelly, there are some similarities there. They do offer a couple of different things, but I just feel like Dodson, he feels like an elusive back, right? And I feel like, yeah, you can kind of say the same thing about Spiller. You can kind of say the same thing about JK, but those guys are a little bit different. I would say JK more of a bruiser, Spiller more of a receiver. An elusive back like Dodson, that might have a spot on this team. Austin Eckler, to me, is the premium of all of those things except for power back. He's going to be your premium receiver, your premium elusive back. But Dodson just brings something fresh. That speed was something incredible, too. As soon as he hit those jets, he was gone. And, of course, he didn't run like the most insane 40 out there. But that's what the difference is between your 40 speed and your game speed. What we saw in terms of game speed for the Chargers in a couple of different categories was very impressive. And Dodson, I think, is among the top of that list this week. So you guys let me know what you think of Elijah Dodson. I certainly hope that he makes the roster. I think there's some premium competition behind Austin Eckler all of a sudden. And I'm feeling okay about the future beyond Austin Eckler. I think there's going to be some conversations after this season. I think it's going to be a great season in terms of running, in terms of Austin Eckler himself. But right now, I'm feeling a lot better than I did just 48 hours ago before this game. All right. Next up, let's talk a little bit about the other speedster, right? The hotness in Darius Danger Davis, man. The DD on the team, dude. This was absolutely fantastic to watch as a Chargers fan. One of those things that, like, what were we, like, maybe in the second quarter? It just threw a flame on this game that absolutely drove me crazy as a Chargers fan. The chat was going crazy. The energy was there. It's something that we're kind of not used to seeing. I don't know if I've seen a return this efficient since the days of Desmond King. You guys remember him? The nickel corner, who's also a returner for the Chargers. But this is way better. We're finally starting to see a reasoning behind why the Chargers selected Darius Davis in the 4th round, which some people would have said was kind of high. I even said it was kind of high. Now that I'm seeing what he has to offer as a special teamer, I think that maybe that was a value. And then on top of that, you see what he offers as a receiver, as a weapon for this team. You go, wow, the potential, the ceiling, it just got leveled up, folks. We were already very excited to see Davis involved in this offense because, of course, Chargers fans are hungry to see more speed on this team. But like I say a lot in my videos, a receiver, a speed wideout has to be more than speed. You have to offer more than speed. We've seen receivers like John Ross, who recently retired from the NFL, that only brought that speed element to the game, but not anything else well rounded out. in terms of their availability, getting open, right? The hands and stuff like that. You usually see a couple of tick marks on those other categories, which I'm sure Darius Davis is going to have. But from what we saw in his first game, I'm very impressed. And what's crazy is that even beyond the return for a touchdown, the punt return for a touchdown, which was very impressive, he called it, right? He was talking to Matt Money Smith. He called it. He went out there. He did it. That's something I kind of knew was a potential for Darius Davis, right? Again, I'm extremely impressed, extremely happy to have this guy on the team, but we knew that this was a possibility, that Davis was going to be a stud returner, right? Something I still was really wondering about that I really didn't have an answer for yet was, what's he going to look like as a receiver? And you know what it took for me? It took 2 plays. Of course, we're going to need more as a bigger sample size, but I'm already on those 2 plays much higher on Davis than I was previous. Those 2 plays were very simple. It looked like a hitch route underneath that Davis immediately turned. His change of direction is ridiculous and sprinted for the sideline because he had to stop the clock. I think we were trying to score before the second half. That speed on display, it looked, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, guys, but I've seen that several times as a Chargers fan. I've seen that from a man named Tyreek Hill. Okay, how many times, Chargers fans, have we seen Patrick Mahomes dump it off on a hitch route to, or even an out, whatever, something underneath to a Tyreek Hill, and then he just sprints and he's gone. And if he's not gone, he picks up the first down. I've seen that a lot, dudes. I've seen it a lot. And for the first time, I've seen it with the Chargers. The first time in a long time, I've seen it with the Chargers. And again, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but that to me spoke miles. And then the second play was a pass to, I think it was an out route on the sideline to Darius Davis, in which he had a DB bearing down on him. Davis had to come down with that reception through contact. And you know what? He took it like a stud, man. The guy held onto the football. I think it resulted in a first down or very close to it. And that was something where, again, his speed was able to make himself available, but you got to be able to round out that skill set as a wide receiver with those hands and the route running as well. And I saw all 3 of those elements, the speed, the hands, the route running in that one play. Even though it wasn't like a huge touchdown or anything like that, I'm seeing things in him that make me feel more like he's more than just the speed. He's going to have something to offer on offense, and he's going to be a heck of a returner. Let's all remember that Tyreek Hill at one point was a mid-round selection that was selected for his special teams upside and then developed from there. I don't know how far away a Darius Davis is at this point. I have him listed as Darius Danger Davis, but I am very much so more on that upside now than I was before this game. Bravo to Darius Davis, man. Very excited to see how his upside is continuing to climb. Now, speaking of which, I know this next player maybe didn't have the most fantastic day. Okay, I know Chargers fans were hoping if he was out there to see something a little bit more impressive. We did see some impressive work, but we also saw some things that he's going to have to clean up, and that's going to be Quentin Johnson. Okay, so first off, bravo to Quentin Johnson for bouncing back, jumping back in the lineup, running from the slot, catching a touchdown. Beautiful pass, by the way, from Easton Stick. He didn't let the previous drops and stuff affect him in that moment. When he was in the red zone, he was locked in. He came up with a crucial score for the Chargers to help them leap ahead. Very nice play there. However, we do have to go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. Chargers fans may be a little bit worried about, I would say, a worry that we were already aware of even before camp, okay? And it was the catching ability of a Quentin Johnson. Now, the Chargers likely select this man because he does have the intangibles, which you're seeing on display right here. Size and speed, right? He burned this man. It was LeCount, I think, was the name of the DB that he burned. Just absolutely no shot in terms of what the Quentin offered in speed and size. And it was a great pass, and Quentin Johnson very much so confident in bringing that ball in. That was fantastic. Previous to that, though, we did see some plays where Quentin Johnson was dropping the ball, okay? I think he was, 2 for 2 yards in the first half or something like that right before this play. Not great. And I think one of those plays went for negative yards because I think the other play went for just 4 yards for Quentin Johnson and then a bunch of drops. That's not great. That's not great. And that's something that, of course, the Chargers are going to be focusing in on with Quentin Johnson. But again, it's something that we kind of knew about. I wasn't extremely surprised to see this in his first preseason game, but it does help identify what the Chargers need to do to help him fix that. Is he going to still have dropping issues in the regular season? He might. He might drop a few. It might be a couple of frustrating ones as well that Chargers fans are like, oh man, that could have won us a game, this and that, or whatever. But he is a rookie. But I do want to make sure that Chargers fans understand the upside behind that as well. There's going to be things he needs to work on, but we're already starting to see the things that we drafted him for, right? Obviously a red zone threat. He's got some speed. We should see more of that on display in next week's game and maybe even the last preseason game of the preseason here as well. So Quentin Johnston's got some stuff to work on, but ultimately I'm still very excited to see what he has to offer. He's going to be a unique weapon for Justin Herbert going into the future, who, again, we haven't seen any passes from Justin Herbert to Quentin Johnston. I would say the best pass of the night, one of the best passes of the night from Easton Stick was this pass. We'll see what Quentin Johnston and Justin Herbert have to offer once they're on the field together. I'm very excited to see that. Next up, speaking of which, we got to give love to number 8 out there, or I should say number 2. I have the Fantastic 2 out there as this segment. I think Easton Stick has really progressed so well since being drafted years ago by the Chargers in the Phillip Rivers days. We were excited to see what he had to offer. I think he's really developed into a solid backup for the Chargers. I think a lot of this, you can credit towards a Kellen Moore and his efficiency in running that offense. I think Easton Stick meshed very well with that. I think most quarterbacks would mesh very well with that. But you also have to credit Easton Stick for his execution. I was very impressed with Stick. And honestly, for the first time in a while, I feel kind of confident in who we have out there as a backup. When's the last time we felt like that, Bolt fam? I don't know. But Easton Stick, feeling pretty good about him. Congratulations to him. That was a smashing success in his first preseason game as well, which, again, preseason, very important to the backup quarterbacks. I think Stick hit it out of the park. All right. Next up, let's start talking about the defense a little bit. And the first thing I kind of want to open up with are some of my year 2 players, okay? We've talked a little bit about guys on offense, right? We didn't talk about Zion Johnson, but I think he got a couple snaps out there. He's going to look great. He's looked great in camp. We talked about Isaiah Spiller, who obviously has been looking fantastic. Some of the guys on defense, however, I wanted to talk about especially the DBs, right? You got JT Woods. He was the 3rd round selection, right? We've got Jasir Taylor and Dean Leonard. These guys, in my opinion, all flashed pretty good improvement in this game. Now, of course, I highlight JT Woods because he had a boneheaded penalty that you should never see in this league, resulting in a Rams touchdown. The Chargers had them stopped. They had them beat. There's no excuse for that penalty, for the unsportsmanlike conduct. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention how much of an improvement I did notice out of JT Woods before all that nonsense. His coverage ability is looking a lot better. His positioning looks a lot better. His ability to go up there and maybe generate an interception, it looks a lot better, which the Chargers as a DB whole have to work on. And I think above all else, something that I was really worried about with JT was his tackling ability, which also looks a lot better. That gives me a lot of hope for what the Chargers are rolling out with this season. You got Derwin James and Alohi Gilman at safety up top. And of course, with Derwin moving around so much, you're going to need somebody out there in a relief role. And I do think we're going to see a lot of JT Woods. As a matter of fact, we saw a lot of JT Woods playing close to the line of scrimmage this game as well. I feel a little bit more confident in that too. And this kind of screams what the Chargers draft philosophy has been for the past couple of seasons. And it's starting to really work. If anything, the development of players through the draft has looked pretty good in the Brandon Staley era, right? JT, my goodness, man. I feel like there is some improvement there. He's not going to be perfect yet. I think he still has a lot of stuff to work on, especially his awareness in terms of penalties and his discipline there. But I'm feeling a lot better with that. Jasir Taylor, he looked good at times. I think he struggled a little bit in this game, but he did position himself for an interception, which is definitely exciting to see. He just has to come down with it. And the same thing can be said about Dean Leonard, who looks way better than he did last season in coverage as well. And this just, to me, again, tells me that the Chargers DBs, there's a formula there of size and speed that the Chargers have been drafting. They try to develop these guys. I'm already seeing improvement from last season, and that could definitely give the Chargers a lot of talent in terms of that speed that we've desperately been needing with the kind of development we've been seeing. They have to clean up those mitts. A lot of the Chargers got to go out there and spend some time on that catching machine or whatever. We had 2 dropped interceptions, which was definitely kind of gutting. But the Chargers being in position for that is the first step. Get them out there, practice those hands a little bit, and I'm feeling a lot better. Next up, as we continue to get close to the end here, oh my defensive line. Now, I will shout out the first thing that we had up here with CJ Okoye. One of the best moments I think I've ever seen in preseason football. That was fantastic. But as a whole, dudes, this defensive line, this edge position group has been so impressive, right? So impressive. That was one of the biggest things I needed to see improvement from in this game was quality backups on the defensive line, and we saw it all over the place. Andrew Farmer looked great. Was it Brevin Jordan? Was that his name? He looked great. Scott Matlock, their rookie, looked great. Of course, Chris Rumpf looked great. Thule looked absolutely fantastic. I was going to give him his own segment, but we're going to just show him right here. These guys, they looked fantastic. Jared Clark looked fantastic. Everybody looked so good on the defensive line. It makes me question how bad the Rams' offensive line is in terms of their backups a little bit. But at the same time, I saw what I needed to see. We've seen years past where a Chargers defensive line going up against backups of backups very much so not be able to hold up their own. And this game they did. And that makes me feel so much better about the Chargers situation right now in terms of their backups because we do have guys out. Sebastian Joseph Day is kind of, up and down. I think he's good. But we got Easton Johnson who's out. He's probably our best run defender. You got Brennan Fayoko who's gone. You got Tito who's out, who's also a great run defender. Our best run defenders are gone. And to see these guys step up, very encouraging, especially in the pass rush. My God, dudes. That Stetson Bennett, he was running for his life half that game. And it's even guys from the interior. CJ Okoye, Andrew Farmer, these guys were just getting free. Imagine when that's Morgan Fox and Thule and Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. There's some definite improvement this season, man. And in terms of depth, I feel so much better this season. I was already feeling better with Thule out there. Now these other guys stepping up, I think it's definitely going to be Thule and Rumpf on the edge. But these guys in the interior, man, am I feeling really good about the Chargers pass rush all of a sudden. So bravo to the defense. So to wrap up this video, couple of things. One, just a nod to the special teams. Of course, we already talked about Darius Davis. But Cameron Dicker, he went out there and proved, a question that I had before this game is that can he kick long? And he did. It was like something like a 50-something yard field goal. Fantastic. Nailed it. I think we can kind of assume who's going to win that kicker battle at this point. Cameron Dicker's been fantastic. And lastly, some things that the Chargers can improve on while going into week 2 of the preseason for them. Quentin Johnson needs to clean up his catching. A lot of Chargers need to clean up their catching. The offensive line certainly needs help. You guys remember this guy, Max Duggan? He's gonna need time to settle in, but I think part of that was how bad the offensive line was in the third and fourth quarter. It was collapsing all over the place. And if there's one part of the roster I need the Chargers to go out there and try and improve before the regular season, it will be depth at offensive line. Because right now we don't know what's going on with Trey Pipkins. Foster Sorrell out there was very worrisome. He did not look very good. The Chargers, in my opinion, need to go get a swing tackle, right? On the cheap if they can, but they need somebody out there, right? And the last thing I would say, the Chargers need to clean up those penalties. I don't know how many yards they gave up. I'm going to say at least 100, right? They need to clean that up. That's something that, of course, you can cost yourself in any given Sunday or whatever if you don't have good discipline in terms of penalties. All right. So to wrap up this video, guys, what did you guys think of the Chargers' debut preseason game? I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Chargers went out there. They proved that they have confidence. That's something that I haven't seen in the preseason in a long time. Sure, it was entertaining for us as Chargers fans, but look at these players out there, man. The Chargers are going out there winners already, right? They know they're winners. And that's something that, again, I don't know if it's a culture thing. I don't know if it's a results thing or whatever, but this team just looked and felt and was led different in their first preseason game of the year. I cannot wait for week 1 versus the Dolphins, man. It's going to be a good time. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Also, remember to catch us on Bleacher Report after this upcoming game with the Saints. If you guys want to go there to the Charger section right after the game, I'm going to be going live with my immediate reaction. It was a good time last time. Thank you to everybody so much who showed up the first time. We'll catch you guys next time. This has been The Director, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Darius Davis. Let's do something again next week, man. I already can't wait for the next Chargers game.